Hi everyone, my name is Rio and this is Rio Plays Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I decided to start this channel in order to explore documentaries, books, articles, anything I've read or watched recently that really interested me. And I also wanted to get people's opinions and reactions to those articles, documentaries. Another big part of it is that if anyone who sees these videos has ever read or watched anything that they found interesting, particularly like documentaries, I watch a ton of those and I find them like really enjoyable and really fascinating. So if anyone has any recommendations, and particularly where to find the documentaries, hopefully for download, I would really appreciate it. I decided to go with playing The Legend of Zelda because I didn't really want to stare at a camera in order to do these videos. Some people can do that and they can do it really, really well. I'm just not sure I'm one of those people. So I decided to go with playing Legend of Zelda instead.
Yeah?
So today I decided to talk about defining popularity. And what brought this up for me is I read an article recently on CNN that discussed a longitudinal study out in Wisconsin, I believe. I would post the link to CNN in the description of this video, except I've gone and lost the link, and try as I might to find that CNN article, I cannot find it. If any of you can find it, please post me the link, because I'm very annoyed with myself that I've gone and lost that. I did find a related link on Huffington Post, so I have that down in the video description. Essentially, this study was saying that they found people earned more later in life if they were deemed popular back in high school. And one of the reasons this interested me is I kind of observed a lot while I was going through my school years. So the way that works is that I kind of went to a lot of schools. I wasn't kicked out of a bunch of schools. It was kind of my dad's job that had the whole family moving about the place. So I went to 7 different schools through high school and then went to 2 different universities. So I had a lot of experience kind of viewing the social world of school and the different experiences that can be found therein. And one of the reasons this article struck me, and again the study, was their definition of popularity. And I don't think it's quite accurate. I don't know if maybe people have a different social experience than me, which could definitely be possible. But essentially they defined popularity as popular people are the ones with the most friends. So if other people listed them as their friends, then their rank and popularity went up. The problem I found with that definition is I'd say me and my friends back in high school were kind of middle of the pack in terms of popularity, but in no way would we have scored low on this particular test. I know at least one of my friends on this particular test, she might have been listed as like the most popular person in school. So it didn't really work for me. The way they did this study was they followed 10,000 people, so it was a pretty big study, and they asked them to list their 3 friends, and the more times a person was listed by other people, the higher they were assumed to be popular. Now, the problem with this definition is that that's not how high schoolers kind of view it, or at least not in my high school. There were certain people who were popular, and they didn't have any more or less friends than people who were considered not popular. So what I mean by that is some of the most popular people in my high school, there are definitely some of my friends who would have outscored them, or I feel would have outscored them on this test, except none of my friends were considered among the popular group, which is the problem I had with this study. And I'd also... the big problem I had with this study was that it assumed that people who weren't deemed popular by their peers wouldn't have been able to make friends. And as any high schooler can tell you, that's simply not true. Popularity in high school it's rather interesting insofar as it just, everyone knows who is popular and who is not, but no one could, if they're actually told how to define it, they wouldn't be able to do it, or at least I'm not able to do it, I should say. So if anyone can give me a better definition, I'd definitely be open to it. So, like, if you asked any high schooler to define popularity, they would have had real trouble, and certainly I still do to this day. I can read this article and say it doesn't quite capture the definition of popularity, but then again, I can't myself then go and define popularity. So I was wondering what other people had on this topic. It doesn't seem to quite get it. Like in this article, it's assuming that if you can make friends, you will be popular. And it's not the quantity, it's not the quality either, because I definitely had quality friends. They were very good people. But it's undefinable almost. So what are other people's feelings on this topic? See, when I was in high school, I was very much in this kind of broad group of good students, I guess. So it was the good students, the geeks, the drama geeks certainly, people into technology and music. Those were kind of my friends. Any of those kind of peoples were in my group, and I think my experience was also a bit different in terms of the cliques. I was fortunate in my high school. There's definitely no denying that. There were cliques and there were bullies. I was unfortunately the victim of a bully, particularly two bullies in high school. But it wasn't nearly so bad as I have heard, or as Hollywood has led me to believe is potentially out there. By the time, the bullies that I encountered, they were actually not even in my year, and there was certainly some teasing from the rest of my, or some, not the rest, but some of my classmates, but for the most part, it wasn't too terribly bad. Also, in terms of cliques, in 9th grade, when we entered high school, there were definitely cliques. There were definitely groups of people who always stuck together. But at the same time, it wasn't an absolute structure. So people in different cliques did talk to each other. We had like honors tracks and honors classes, so you often were in different classes with different people, especially in terms of music and art, especially when you got into the more defined music and art, so like ceramics and pottery and stuff like that. You were mixing with people who weren't even necessarily in your grade. And as the years progressed, the clickiness got less and less, and so much so that by the time we reached 12th grade, it was particularly noticed in 12th grade, a lot of the cliques had mostly dissolved. People still had their groups of friends, but the hardline cliques that Hollywood seems to define simply didn't exist anymore in my high school. I mean, there were the only big lines that kind of stuck out in the sand for me were the drug dealers and the non-drug dealers. But I didn't people who, like, some of the popular kids were now talking to me and my friends, and it wasn't weird or anything like that. Like, we would have casual conversations. We would never you know, kind of seek out the company of each other, so there was no hanging out. Like, after school particularly, you went and you hung out with your friends. But during class time, it was much more casual and not hard to find. A lot of people didn't particularly care anymore. And for the most part, a lot of the bullying had stopped. Occasionally people would try and start up again. For the most part, they were ignored. Okay, so I think that's a good place to stop. So what are your feelings on this topic? How would you define popularity? And have you read any articles that you'd like to share or any documentaries on the subject? Also, if you have any requests about what you would like to talk about next time, I will certainly take those into consideration. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.